Do you ever feel like your life is a lie? Do you ever feel like you're living every day as a false reality? Do you ever feel like your life isn't real and you're doing things every single day to impress other people that you may not even like just to fit in? If you answered yes to any of these three questions, then I'm here to tell you that you are not living your true, authentic, vulnerable life that you're meant to live. Here's what I mean. You see, with the world that we live in right now, with social media, with the online world of the internet, and where everybody hangs out through the gaming world and social networks, we tend to think that we are not perfect like what we see on Instagram. We tend to think that our life is not good enough because other people out there are living a more successful luxury lifestyle. But the reality is, nobody truly knows what's happening behind the scenes. Nobody ever gets to see the raw realness of other people's life. They never see the fails. People don't want to share their fails. People want to show the highlights. People want to show the success. People want to show the luxury watches. People want to show the cars. People want to show the money and the wonga. But people never want to show you the reality of what's happening really behind the scenes. People are not being vulnerable. And the problem with this is that at some point, you are gonna get caught out. People will understand that this person's life is not really like this. They are living this fake lifestyle to keep up with the Joneses. And in reality, this is actually what's happening in their life. I want you to really understand what I'm saying. I want you to really deeply think about, are you living your truth? Are you really living the life that you're supposed to live in this world? Are you really being yourself? Or even better, ask yourself this question. Have you even found yourself? Do you even know who you are? Do you even know the person that is within you? Have you accepted that person? Have you truly accepted the person that you are? Because I'm here to tell you that we are all different in a unique and amazing way, that there is no other person like you in the world. There is no other individual that has the same energy, the same spirit, the same soul, the same amount of empathy, the same amount of compassion as you. So ask yourself today this question: am I really living life being me? Or am I doing things to impress others in my life? Because the reality is that nobody knows you better than you know yourself. That's right. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself, because we can get all the opinions we want. We can go and get all the advice from the outside world. And I'm here to tell you this firsthand, because over 6 years ago, I was the person that was super shy, couldn't speak to women. I had 8 friends. I played Call of Duty. I went to work in the bank. I came back home. I ate something. I slept, and I repeated the same lifestyle, being a fake version of myself that wasn't truly my purpose, wasn't really being me. You know why? It's nobody's fault. It's the world and society that fills us up every single day, the same way you fill up that little jar where you're saving your money every single month in, month out. That little piggy bank that you give to your children to go and fill in month after month so they can have a better future. But we all know the truth. We all know what society is doing. We all know that in these social media and internet lifestyle world that we live in today, we only see the highlights, we only see the successes, and we only get to really see people's false reality online. And when you meet people offline, they don't want to be themselves. Instead, do you know what they do? Do you know what I've learned in the last 7 years of my own self-development and personal growth journey. Here we go. The one thing that I learned, or that everybody was teaching me at the time, was fake it till you make it. You've heard of this, right? Fake it till you make it. Hey, Sadiq, just fake it till you make it. Nobody's gonna know. Put on the fancy suit, wear the fancy watch, go out there and be someone that you're not, is what they actually were telling me to do. And what was I hearing? I was hearing, that is my truth. That is my life. That should be my life. Let me go and do what I've just learned from these people who deem to be successful in the societal world, but in reality, they're just ordinary people like you and I. They don't and they cannot really be themselves on a daily basis. You see, if you live your life every single day trying to be someone that you're not, eventually people will catch on. Eventually, people will smell your fakeness from a mile away. And that is the truth. That is the reality of the world we live in today. If you're not being vulnerable, if you're not being authentic, if you think being vulnerable is weak, if you think being authentic is trying to be someone that you're putting on a fancy hat to become this confident version of yourself when you go back home, that isn't really you. You know exactly the type of people that I'm talking about, right? You have colleagues like that, you have friends like that, you even have family members like that. They play different hats, they play different roles because of these hats they put on a daily basis. They go out and they pretend to be someone that they're not. And in the real world, they're actually a pretty decent person. The truth is, we have to learn how to be truly authentic in our life. We've got to know how to be super vulnerable. But what does that mean? A lot of people say, hey, Sadiq, what does it mean to be vulnerable in life? Here's what vulnerability really means. It is not to be looked at and frowned upon as a weak aspect of someone's life. You shouldn't think that being vulnerable is being weak. Vulnerability is one of the biggest strengths that you can go and portray into the world. You know why? Because people love people who are just like them. And guess what? We all have the traits of vulnerable people inside of us. We are all vulnerable. You know why? Because none of us are perfect. Nobody's perfect. I am not perfect. You're not perfect. And the people who are going to be watching this video all around the world, I'm just here to remind you that you are not perfect. You are someone that is very unique and very, very special in this world. You have a very unique energy that nobody else out there has, because you can actually share that authentic, vulnerable version of yourself. I want to share a little story with you that I remember happened to me many years ago. It was one day when I was having a meeting in a really fancy hotel lobby, as I did at the time, because that was what was taught to me by the mentors I had at the time. Hey, Sadiq, if you want to be successful, you've got to fake it till you make it. Meaning you've got to be someone that you're not, visualize yourself to be someone successful, but in reality, you're broke and you're living every single month with hardly any money to do the things that you truly love and head towards your goals and your dreams. So I was sitting there on a really, really cold evening in London with a potential prospect or potential client in front of me in this very fancy hotel lobby. And I was all, suited and booted. I was all looking all the part. And you know what happened? As I was sitting there pretending to be someone that I wasn't, the person across the table could sense and feel the energy. And they reminded me of this important life lesson that I really hope, if you're watching this, that you can take away with today. They reminded me that if you lie in your life, then you will always be one of those people who will never make it far. Do you know why? Because you can be sensed from a mile away. This specific person sitting across the table from me reminded me that if you never lie in your life, then you never need to remember anything. Think about that. I'm going to repeat it just so it really digs down deep into your soul. If you never lie in your life, you never truly need to remember anything. Make sense? Because if you're always being honest, if you're always being truthful, if you're always being vulnerable, if you're always being authentic and showing people your true emotions, sharing your true energy with people, really being the person that you are without worrying about external opinions, without worrying about external judgments, without worrying about the world and what they have to say about you. If you can just truly be yourself and really dive deep into years and years and years of self-development to grow yourself to a level and your mentality to a level where you no longer care about the opinions of others, because that is what's stopping most people right now from just being their vulnerable, authentic self. Once you tap into that inner potential that you have, once you tap into being super authentic and really vulnerable in your life, you will see magic happen. You will see your life transform just like a butterfly transform from the cocoon of a caterpillar. Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all, as a famous quote and a famous, amazing human being once told us all. Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. I want you to remember this one last thing. If you can just try your best every single day to live your truth, to do something that you really love, to find something that you really love, and to just be your authentic, vulnerable self, then you can attract much more abundance. You can attract much more peace. You can attract way more success. And most importantly, you can attract other vulnerable and authentic people just like you. And in return, that can be used to your advantage. The authenticity and the vulnerability that you share with the world will inspire others out there to also become their own version of authentic and vulnerable. And they can duplicate that from people to more people out there into the world. And one day we can potentially be living in a world where there are more vulnerable and authentic people in their world that are just living their truth, that are just being themselves because they don't know how to not be themselves. You see, when we try to be someone that we're not, when we put on the cap and we pretend to be this different version of us, it doesn't take us far in life. We're never gonna get to be that real version of ourselves. People will smell it from a mile away. And you know what? Sometimes it's not about other people. Sometimes it's about yourself. Sometimes deep down, is this really me? Am I really like this? Is this how I want to show up into the world? Is this how I want to be of service? Is this the energy and the type of person I want to be remembered by? Because remember, people never remember what you say, what you teach them, the advice you've given them. But like Maya Angelou once so beautifully said a long, long time ago, people will only ever remember how you made them feel. So give your energy, give your heart, give your soul, give your truth to the people out there in the world, and then inspire and motivate them to just be themselves. Because you know what? Sometimes you've just got to let it all go. Sometimes you've just got to be yourself. Sometimes it's just not worth putting on that hat anymore to be that person that you're really not. Sometimes you will get fed up of waking up in the morning, putting on that hat, going out into the world again, and being someone that you're not. One day you will realize that life has so much in store for you. You can be doing so much more in your life if you can just be yourself and if you can teach others to be themselves. So I hope you remember this one last thing that I want to leave you all with. If you stop lying in your life, you will never need to remember another thing ever again. Thank you.